Lara and Bryan were the kind of couple everyone envied. Their love radiated like sunlight through a crystal vase, glowing with warmth, honesty, and a kind of sincerity that was rare in modern relationships. They met during their final year at the University of Lagos. Lara, a literature major, was known for her soft-spoken charm and poetry that tugged at hearts. Bryan, studying mechanical engineering, was the campus favorite, tall, smart, witty, and strikingly handsome. Their first encounter happened at an open mic night. Lara had just finished performing her poem about heartbreak when Bryan, captivated by her voice, walked up to her, handed her a rose, and said, "I want to be the reason you write about love next time." And he was. They became inseparable. From studying late nights in the library to walking hand in hand through campus gardens, their bond grew stronger with each passing day. They talked about everything, their dreams, fears, families, and future. Bryan promised her a lifetime of laughter and protection. Lara vowed never to give her heart to another. After graduation, Bryan landed a job with a top oil company in Port Harcourt, and Lara published her first collection of poems, which gained widespread acclaim. They moved in together, built a beautiful life, and were planning their wedding for the following December. But life had its own script. It started subtly. Lara began feeling tired all the time, experiencing severe headaches and swelling in her feet. At first, she brushed it off as stress, but when she collapsed one evening while preparing dinner, Bryan rushed her to the hospital. The diagnosis hit them like a truck. Lara's kidneys were failing. The doctors explained she had a rare genetic condition that had gone undetected. She needed a transplant urgently or would be placed on lifelong dialysis. Bryan was devastated. Seeing the love of his life hooked to machines, weak and fading, tore at his soul. He never left her side at the hospital, sleeping in the chair, holding her hand through every test, every dialysis session. "We'll get through this, my love," he whispered one night, tears slipping down his cheek as Lara slept. "I promise." As weeks passed and Lara's health declined, the search for a donor became desperate. Her blood type was rare, and none of her family members were a match. Without hesitation, Bryan offered to be tested. And by what Lara called a miracle, he was a perfect match. "Are you sure?" she asked, overwhelmed. "Lara, I would give you my heart if it would keep you alive. A kidney is nothing compared to a life with you." The surgery was scheduled. As the day approached, Bryan wrote a letter to Lara, just in case something went wrong. "If you're reading this and I'm not waking up, just know you made my life worth every breath. Loving you was the best thing that ever happened to me. Live fully, laugh freely, and never stop writing. Because every word you write now carries a piece of my soul." But the surgery was successful. Both of them recovered well. The doctors called it a medical success. Lara called it a love story written in blood and stitches. As Lara regained her strength, their relationship began to shift. At first, it was subtle, a missed "thank you," a distracted kiss, a lingering distance. Bryan told himself it was just recovery stress. But as the months passed, Lara grew distant. She began spending more time out of the house, claiming to be attending literary events and book signings. She no longer looked at Bryan the same way. She became irritable, cold even. One night, Bryan confronted her. "Lara, what's happening to us? Did I do something wrong?" She looked at him, eyes hollow. "I don't know who I am anymore. I feel trapped. This whole transplant thing. I feel like I owe you my life. That pressure is choking me." Bryan was stunned. "But I did it because I love you. Not to make you feel indebted." "Exactly. That's what makes it worse. I can never repay you. I can never leave now, even if I want to." 3 months later, Lara moved out. She left a note that read, "Bryan, you saved my life. But in doing so, I lost my sense of self. I need to rediscover who I am. Please don't hate me. Bryan was shattered. Friends and family tried to comfort him, but nothing could fill the void. He felt betrayed, used, discarded. He fell into depression. He stopped going to work, stopped seeing friends, and turned into a ghost of the man he once was. But healing, though slow, began to creep in. He started therapy. He returned to work. He joined a support group for transplant donors. He began writing a blog about love, loss, and resilience. And through it all, he never said a bad word about Lara. 2 years passed. Bryan was in a better place. He had published a memoir, A Piece of Me, chronicling his journey. It became a bestseller. Then one day, he received a message. It was from Lara. She asked to meet. Against his better judgment, he agreed. They met at a quiet cafe. Lara looked different, older, thinner, and visibly emotional. I have stage 2 breast cancer, she said, her voice trembling. Bryan's heart sank. I wanted to tell you in person. And I wanted to apologize. Leaving you was the worst mistake of my life. I was scared. Scared of how deeply you loved me, scared of the guilt, scared of being vulnerable again. I thought walking away would set me free. But all it did was break me. Tears streamed down her face. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted to say, thank you. For everything. Bryan sat in silence, absorbing her words. Then he reached across the table, took her hand, and whispered, you didn't just take my kidney, Lara. You took my heart. And even now, despite everything, I still care. Bryan became a part of her treatment journey. He stood by her through chemotherapy, held her hair when she vomited, and read her poetry every night to help her sleep. But this time, it was different. There were no promises, no talks of forever. Just presence. Just love, in its rawest, most selfless form. As Lara healed, so did Bryan. Their relationship redefined itself, not as lovers, but as soul companions connected by something deeper than romance. Lara survived cancer. Bryan found peace. They didn't get married. They didn't go back to what they were. But they remained in each other's lives, as reminders of the power of sacrifice, forgiveness, and the kind of love that asks for nothing in return. Lara went on to become a global speaker on organ donation and healing after trauma. She published her memoir, Borrowed Breath, dedicating it to Bryan. Bryan married a fellow writer he met at a book conference. At their wedding, he recited a poem Lara had once written for him. To the man who gave me life, and taught me love without conditions. And in the crowd, Lara stood, smiling with tears in her eyes. Sometimes, love doesn't end. It just evolves. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more captivating tales and leave a comment below to share your thoughts. The end.